Hello, friends. Wanted to walk you through a little bit of how to get started on the first assignment in a programming course. So we'll do this video for Computer Science 1, and this is with the assumption that you haven't done a lot of programming before. So I'll share my screen. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, so the first in Computer Science 1, we've got various different assignments. And if you ever run into anything that is confusing, please do email me. So we'll start with chapter 1. This is the first homework assignment. And the way I like to do these is, if you've put in some effort, you're going to get some points. But if you don't have anything running, that's a challenge. And I want to use the points to encourage you, reach out, get the help. I do want to throw a couple of things at you. So ways you can get help, tinyurl.com/SwasuJeremy. This is kind of a link that I give to people. This is a redirect to my information. So you can hop on the Zoom, and we meet for Computer Science 1 every semester. It seems to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock. I'm usually on Zoom. And if you're going to be there, just email me ahead of time and let us know. You know, the room's got 22 seats, but Zoom's a much bigger thing. You can also hop in here on office hours. And so I'll open this up in a new tab. This is what my office hours look like this semester. And yeah, it's kind of zoomed in a little bit close, but let's see if I can zoom out. There we go. So if these times work, then email me that you want to come by, because like what happened yesterday, I had a student say, I need time to work with you. I can meet at 11 o'clock, but I have class at 11:30. Well, I had actually 4 students in my office trying to work on different projects. And I was like, okay, all of you 4 students need to leave. This is a student that emailed me. We set an appointment. This is when we've got time that we're going to work together. And we did, and it was great. And then after that, the student went to lunch, and all the other 4 students were already gone. But anyway, that's how it works out. This semester, I am taking a class that's going to help me get better at writing grants. I do use grant funding to buy equipment for the school, and also to get scholarships and things for the students. This is in the little window when I'm picking up my children from school. I do have a couple of standing phone calls. I put these in white because if I have a student that tells me I need to meet with you and the only time I can meet with you is here, that's cool. So, but yeah, I do want to point out, if these times don't line up, email me. If you want to show up to one of these classes and you've got questions, that's cool. Or even if you want to show up to one of these classes and you've got questions, I will tell you that people, even in discrete structures, I ask them to help out with a hello world, and they're still like, I'm not completely sure how to do that. Other option, we have the Discord server. And so this should redirect me to our SWASU Discord server. It popped up on another screen. So here is a fun time. This is our SWASU Computer Science Discord server. These are kind of the things to help you get started. And you've got some things you've got to do in order to get loaded in. But then we also have the general channel. And so you can have just general discussion here. We've got Joy on Demand. We've got a few posts in here talking about one of the books. But we also have this channel called Help Me Please. And so this is where people can hop in and other people answer questions. Our mods do a fairly good job of being responsive on this. And so that's another option for you to use to go and get help. So, but I do want to get focused on, how do we get started with programming? All right, so this is one of the first, here's our programming assignment. So we're going to have, this is, if you're using the ZyBooks, I'll show you what this looks like in the ZyBooks. What I tell people is the first chapter of ZyBooks is free. We use that in the second week of school. So you've got about 2 weeks to look into this. the book is not right for everyone. If you are a person that very much benefits from using a ZyBook or an online book, then I would encourage you to go out and use this. And if you need me to help you facilitate getting that book, that's a great option. I do want to, I'll pull up a couple of books that I have. See if the third edition is out. Hey, the third edition finally, nope, it will come out in January. The Python Crash Course, this is one that was written by a high school instructor, and it's really good for your first programming class. This is another book that is a lot of fun. I'm working through it now because it's got a little more with the graphical user interface, and I'm trying to learn more about that. But one of the series that I'm a huge fan of is a Python for Dummies all-in-one desk reference set. So these are books that are more cost-effective possibly than the ZyBook, but the ZyBook is an ebook, and it's got things in here. You know, it's got a lot more information, and it's more interactive. Python was implemented in 1960. That's false. It was actually in the 1990s by a guy named Guido. I don't know. Yeah, Guido von Rossum. Cool. Python is a high-level language. That is true. That excels at creating fast executing programs. No. If you want to go fast, write in C. Major drawback of Python is Python code is more difficult to read than nope, Python is very readable. And so it gives you this automatic feedback, and it's, for some people, very nice to have something like a ZyBook. But anyway, let's go look at, yep, here we go, formatted output, hello world. So it says write a program that outputs hello world for all labs. So I'll just type in, print and I made a mistake. I did not put in my exclamation point, and so I'll hit run program, and it's a little laggy by my opinion, but we see we do get a hello world. So I'll go to submit mode. And I have failed. We'll see that in a minute. Oh, failed, total score out of 0. Your output, hello world, expected output was so substantially different. I will admit that is one of the reasons why people don't always like the ZyBook. So you change that and it gives you feedback. Okay, that is correct. So one of the things that I want to point out is that this is a discussion, right? And it's nice to have this web-based interface because you don't have to install anything, and you can run the code. So I do want to show a couple of things. First, this search. So Python, and then the program you're trying to write, or some of the keywords. So here's a learnpython.org. And this is hello world. And so you can click this, and it says setting up workspace, and it's powered by DataCamp, and that's all fun stuff. So you can come in here, and we can just change this to, and we can hit run again, and now we'll see we've got this line. Cool. So if you're working on doing a homework assignment, you could just, no idea where this will redirect. Let's go get a new one. So I'm going to call this chapter 1. I'm going to say problem 1. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab this. And so it says, let's grab that so we know what we're working on. Cool. And then I'll come here and I'm going to grab my code. I'll say and then I'll just grab this. Actually, you know what? Lazy. There we go. Paste that in. Now, here's the downside of doing it this way. Let's say that I forget how to program between now and next week. If I come in here and I try to grab this, I mean, it looks pretty, but it's kind of useless. So what I would encourage you to do instead is just come in here and paste it in like this. Reason for that is now I can highlight this code and I can grab it and I'll do a search for Python online compiler. And here's onlinepython.com. Yay. And so now I'll just paste my code in. And I think I hit save. Yes. Oh my goodness. Aren't you just complicated? I don't really care that much about it. So it runs hello world. And now I can just grab this, come back here to our document, and I will just paste that in here. And I can also grab this link. And if you're like, gasp, I put in 2 links to a Google Doc. Hey, cool, not a big challenge. So we've got 2 more assignments to do right quick. So we'll just do those. I'll come in here and I'm going to change this. This is something that I do just to I think it makes it look a little bit better, makes it a little easier to navigate. And so I'm going to talk about a different tool. This is where you go to download this tool. You can download it. They talk about pricing. This is a commercially viable product, and a lot of companies pay money in order to have this product. They do have a free education license, and so if you're a student and you're not using this to make money, you can just click on download, and it should download and run for free. So you can't see it, but my computer is losing its mind a little bit on the next screen. When you start to run Python, Python is a burly, or Anaconda is a burly program, and it's got some things that work really nice. And one of those things that works really nice is Spider. And I've got a few more pop-ups happening on the other screen, and I'll drag it across when that gets done. All right. I'm going to dismiss this. All right, come on, Spider. So this is one of the downsides. Spider usually is much easier to work with than this. I'll open up another one Jupyter Notebook as well. So Jupyter Notebook is basically a web-based interface for you to work with your tree or work with your code. I've got SWOSU examples, and so I'll just do a new Python 3 notebook in my Jupyter Notebook, and I'm going to make a comment here. And you'll learn more about comments later, and this is something you can Google. No, I'll use a different kind of comment. And what this type of comment says is, it's a block comment. It starts here and it ends here, and everything in between is just going to be commented out. This is a line comment. So I'll make a new cell, and it says, write a program that prints formatted no parking sign as below. So I'm going to say print and let's just run that right quick. We see it's close. I'm lazy, so I'm going to just copy it and paste it. And so we'll rerun the cell. Cool. And so now we can just grab this, and I will go back to here. And so I'll say code, and to make this easier to find, pop that out, and then I'll say come back here to our Jupyter Notebook, and it is as expected. And then if I want to be fancy, I'll just add a third part and be like, again, the disadvantage of this, I mean, it looks cool. You can see what I'm doing. You can see I'm in a Jupyter Notebook. And so I'd probably give you bonus points because I know that's installed on your computer. But it's not something you can interact with and pull the text out of. And so I like this better because you can pull the text out of it. We've got, let's see. Here's our Anaconda navigator again, and Spider's giving me a hard time, so I'm not going to use it this time. I'm going to use the command prompt. And so when I do that on my machine, it pops up a little window like this. I've got some other tools that I use. I'll show you one of those right quick. One of the tools that I use is called Atom. And so Atom, again, is free. It's a text editor, and you can use this with your command prompt. DIR, learning the terminal is a skill set that can be useful. Anyway, DIR just says, hey, what's in the directory? I can see Git is there. Now I can see SWOSU Python examples is there. So I'm going to go into that because I like to keep my stuff all in the same spot. I can see I've got a CS1 folder. Tab will correct errors or autocomplete for you. And inside CS1, I've got a chapter 01. So I use CD to change directories. So this says change directory to chapter 01. And we can see we've got homework examples in Jupyter Notebooks. I'm going to go to homework examples. And it looks like I've got a Python notebook in there, but I don't have much else. I already forgot what our assignment is, so I'm going to go look at that again. Here it says, welcome message. Says, write a program that takes the first name as the input and outputs a welcome message for that name. If the name is Pat, the output is, hello, Pat, welcome to see us online. Cool. So here, I'm going to open up Atom. So I'm going to do Atom. I'm going to tell the computer, use the program Atom to open up this file. And I'm going to say, I'm going to call it welcome message.py. I use the underscore to separate the two. The underscore, computers like underscores better than they like spaces, because sometimes a space, like right here, tells it now you're moving on to the next part of the input. So an underscore says, no, this is all the same input. So the way this reads, it's use Atom to open up the file welcome message.py. So silence is golden, and on this screen, absolutely nothing happened, but this pops up. So I don't need this right now. It's just confusing to me. So I'm going to come in here, and the first thing that I always do when I'm writing a code is I write a hello world statement. And so the reason I do this is because this is a program that I've memorized how to do, and I know that it works, and it should always run. Note, I'm going to leave a little blue dot of shame, and I'll explain the blue dot of shame in just a little bit. We go back to the terminal to run this in the terminal. This is just the way that I like to do this. You can use Spider usually. You can use Jupyter Notebooks. I'll show you Visual Studio Code. There's a lot of cool things that you can do to run these codes, but this is the way that I like to do it. Hey, it doesn't exist yet. I was going to ask it to say, can you run it, but it doesn't exist yet. So if we go back here, we'll notice the blue dot of shame. That means that we haven't saved it yet. So I'm just going to hit Control S, because this is the first time that we created the program. Until you save it, the file doesn't actually exist on the computer. So now we can do Python welcome message, and it does say hello world. Cool. So I already forgot what the assignment is again. Let's go copy it. I'm going to delete this line. And then I'll do a block comment. And I'll paste this all in here. Cool. So we're supposed to write a program. Well, how do you get the input? I'm not sure. Let's go do a Google search, or let's do a web search. And so I'll just search on the internet, Python get user input. So we'll take the first hit and we just scroll down and we can say, here we go. And so this actually looks like the perfect line of code. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to come back here to this. I'm going to say that. And now I do run that and see if that works. So I come back here to the terminal. There's a problem. On line 15, it says, I don't like what you say here. This is invalid syntax, so that won't run. So we come back here and yep, sure enough, we've got this little thing here that it doesn't like. What I did by having my block comment and then pasting in the other ZyBook code, I got my little quotation marks wrong. And so I recognize that here. This is where it starts, and then it thinks it stops here. So I'll just do that. Well, now it thinks it stops here. So I'll just get rid of these three that are now redundant. Comments and learning how to do comments. These are all things that you learn with experience. One of the things that I like to point out is anything that you're trying to comment out, there's always another option, which is you can just delete it. I'm not going to do that this time, but the code, I'll run this once, and if it works, I'll come back and delete out my comment, just to show you that the code runs the same. So it says, what is your name? And in the example, they used Pat. It says, hello, Pat, and welcome to CS Online. Cool, so that is success. I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to hit delete right quick. And the blue dot of shame says you haven't saved it yet. So you just save the file, and we'll run it again. And it still runs without event. Now, if you're one of those people that is very sensitive about spacing and things like that, you might have noticed the spacing was a little off. So I'll fix the spacing. Actually, let me see how many edit undos I can do. Undo, 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 undo. Okay, I'm going to leave that in there, and now go ahead and fix the spacing. And we'll see if that looks a little bit better. And we run it again. Yep, that spacing is more common, or more what we were looking for. So let's go ahead and get this into our document. So I'll kill this off. There it is. So what we're going to do, well, I'll say and this is just to make it look prettier. We'll grab the problem description. Actually, we won't this time. Instead, I will just say code. Oops, did not mean to do that. There we go. And so for this one, I'll come here. I'll just do Control A, Control Copy, and I'll come here. I'll paste that in, and there's all of our code. And so you can say that it doesn't copy over the pretty formatting, and that's okay. But here is our code. And now we can go grab our results. So here, I'll just grab this. Sometimes the terminal, you can just press enter, and that's how you copy things out of the terminal. But it pastes in nice and tidy. So that's a few different ways to run your different codes. To get these submitted, there's lots of different options. You can just share the document, which is what I'll do. Anyone with a link, and I'll make it a commenter on this. I'll copy the link. I'll come in here and I'll hit apply. Just drop in a reply, and I'll say, and I'll hit the post reply. So this is where I did something different, and you can see that the code is formatted one way. Today I've done a slightly different thing where you can come in and you can look at this, and this looks prettier, but it's harder for others to use my code. So I'm okay with either way. This, you can copy the output, but the output, maybe it works better to have it look pretty. Here's more of a, again, here's the screen capture, and here's the code. And then this is a code just copied from a text editor. So anyway, that's a few different ways to get started. I do want to remind everyone, there are online Python editors. Some of them work better than others. Anaconda is another tool that you can use. There is another option for getting the code. So Python for Windows and python.org. You can just go here and it says, here's one way to do it. The other thing you can do is open up a Windows command prompt and just type the word Python. Now, if it does like this, that means you have Python installed. I'm going to exit out of this. If instead you do this, sometimes you can click enter. And if you don't have it installed, like, it'll open up the Microsoft Store and say, this is how you get it. Now, if you're in a Mac computer and you do something like this, it can tell you, hey, Python's already installed. If you have Python 2, please know we're using Python 3. And on a Mac, you're probably going to want to come over here and get Anaconda. And that'll set up a virtual environment, and it'll handle all the weirdness of making sure everything gets installed correctly. And then once you have Anaconda up and running, you should be able to use all these different tools. Now, one of the tools that's not listed here is Visual Studio Code. I'm going to see if that'll, see if I can demonstrate how to open that up right quick. So I'll exit out of this. So we can see we've got that welcome message.py. I don't have a code in there for hello world, so I'm just going to type the word code, C-O-D-E, which is short for Visual Studio Code. The .py tells my Windows machine that this is going to be a Python file that I should be able to execute with Python. It says code is not, So obviously Visual Studio Code's not installed on this. So I'll just type code by itself. Oh, it's still being huffy with me. All right. We'll come here and I'll just type Visual Studio Code. Download for Windows. And sure, that looks like a good spot. This is one that's pretty popular with a lot of people. My download rate, not great. Sometimes that's capped on my end. Sometimes that's capped on the server end. We're not going to worry about it. Okay, so you've got the user agreements. You can either accept the user agreements or don't have access to it. And I didn't have any reason to change any of those. So I just left them alone. All right, I'm going to exit. Oh, I'll click on finish. This is what Visual Studio Code should look like when it starts up. I'm going to open up a new command prompt and That's how it's supposed to work. It says, do you want to install the recommended extensions for Python? I sure do. And so it is installing. While it's doing that, I'll come back here. This might take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't take too long. It's probably pulling stuff down and running stuff and fun stuff like that. Cool. So now it's got it. I had another pop-up saying, hey, did you want to allow this? Yeah, sure. Sounds good. And then, hey, look, it's got the little Python logo and it says hello.py. I'm going to mash the go button. Maybe. Are you going to run? Run Python file. Oh, this is embarrassing. Save it. Didn't run it. Run. Trust workspace and continue. Hey, there we go. And we can see down here that it does run. All right, so there are several different options for you to use on to get started with programming. Like I just showed you, sometimes there are fun things that happen and sometimes software is not installed correctly. So when that does happen, Discord is a great option. Office hours is a great option. One of the options that I didn't show you is just go out on the internet and start searching for solutions. That's if this is something you've never done before and you want to get good at it, that's one great way to learn. If your computer is kind of like your baby and you're worried about installing software on it that you don't understand or you don't know where it comes from, then feel free to swing by and get help, or get on the Discord, ask somebody else if they can meet up with you, and kind of walk you through this. I am pretty free and loose with my computers because I keep all my files in the cloud. That way, if anything ever goes wrong, I can just go in and delete my operating system, reinstall my hard drives, and then all my files are still safe on some other hard drive. I hope this is beneficial. There's a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do this time and time again throughout the semester. The reason, and so if some of this stuff is like, wow, that makes absolutely no sense why we're doing it that way, that's okay. We're going to keep doing this again. If you do this several times and still like, okay, I have no idea how this is actually working and it really bothers me, let us know. Let me know via email, or let me know via class discussion, or pop in on Zoom, or put something in Discord for help me please or something like that. And we can have a longer conversation about anything you like. And I'll be honest, some of my students are much more clever than I am, and they find things that are much more interesting and nuanced than I was aware of. And my answers may not be good. So we'll learn together. But anyway, I hope this helps. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful day.